Despite their assurance that Chrissy would ride for Jim no matter what, today she is not cycling and is sobbing uncontrollably on her knees in the midst of traffic that paramedics had to remove her off the sidewalk. This is because only hours before, Jim Jones was handcuffed, humiliated, and taken out of his studio. You know who started it all? Camron's people, not the media or the police officer's family, by leaking an effing documentary instead of a clip. Voice notes and erased text hotel security footage. Chrissy was unaware that all of the content had been dumped in a burner account that is already gaining views like wildfire. To make matters worse, the voice in that video wasn't Jim's. Rather, it was someone who was far too close to Chrissy's statements that give the impression that their relationship is a lengthy setup. This is not hip-hop drama or love. Rather, it is betrayal on a scale no one was prepared for. And now that the internet is blowing up, Harlem is in disarray, and Chrissy, he warned me that this would happen if I ever confessed the truth. But just when everyone thought things couldn't get much worse for Chrissy, she said something under her breath that made even the police freeze. Word on the street that she was being followed not by fans or paparazzi, but by what insiders are now referring to as a private surveillance squad. According to several sources, Camron's cousin, who formerly worked private security for a well-known, for reasons no one is prepared to publicly acknowledge, politicians are now keeping tabs on Chrissy's whereabouts. One anonymous tipper even stated, "They're not just watching her. They're waiting for something. What that something is no one knows but the fear." The entire tale was revealed by the look on Chrissy's face when she was seen at a gas station in New Jersey, her hands shaking and her pacing back and forth while speaking on the phone. This is where things really go wrong though, because Camron's aunt, the same person who had a falling out with Chrissy in the early 2000s over a backstage incident at Bet, published a handwritten note to a gossip website, claiming that Chrissy was the one who informed police about Jim's "if it's real" covert meeting with former crew members who were under federal surveillance is beyond treachery. It's war. Let's take a moment to clarify that this isn't just a tabloid rumor. The letter is signed, dated, and contains the words "fire." Literally, Chrissy always knew the streets weren't built for Jim, and now she's playing cleanup crew to save her own skin. The streets were ablaze with blogs, and Chrissy, the informant, turned into a popular subject on Black. One person on Twitter remarked, "If El Chapo's girl snitched and cried on Instagram Live, I'm not buying it." Another person responded, "She cried too hard. That's guilt, not grief." What about the video that went viral on the internet as soon as this letter was published? Camron's family shared what they dubbed the final straw, which was manipulated to resemble a Netflix DOA trailer and began with security. Video from a rooftop lounge in Manhattan shows Jim giving a mysterious envelope to a hooded man. There is no sound, only a scary calm. 5 minutes later, Chrissy emerges from an Uber, appearing nervous and frightened. Jim is in handcuffs and FBI coats flash on the block. But here's the catch. This is what the public didn't see. The entire story has been twisted. Camron's cousin, who uploaded the video, added this in the caption: "She knew she lead him." As we watch, conspiracy theories began to circulate on YouTube, Reddit, and even TikTok. One well-known thread dissected it like a scene from a movie. Chrissy persuades Jim to reconcile with former members. 2. She inadvertently offers a time. And she turns up crying, knowing what's going to happen, knowing that the federal government has been monitoring. 3. And people were enthralled. Even Mona Scott, who has previously refused to comment on a number of problematic situations, posted a mysterious the saying, "Sometimes silence protects the guilty." Fans believe it was directed at Chrissy. Now, let's discuss the purported financial paper trail. According to several unconfirmed sources, 2 days before Jim's arrest, Chrissy opened a new offshore account and deposited a cool $250,000. It's a coincidence that no one suspects that one user sent the money to a shell business controlled by one of Camron's uncles. Even shared a screen grab of the purported transfer along with the statement, "She cashed in her man for clout and a payout." The story is exploding, with some accusing Chrissy of being a government operative and others claiming she was duped. By whatever the reality is, it's messier than we've ever seen. And if you think Jim doesn't know all this, insiders claim he's refusing. Camron's family was led to believe Jim was about to leave her for someone younger, so she panicked and made a bargain. The same woman who supported him during his career comebacks, label conflicts, and a dozen near breakups is now refusing too. even answer her phone calls while he is in jail. He is becoming completely cold as the court date approaches. People close to Chrissy claim that she isn't sleeping, eating, or checking her phone constantly as if she were waiting, and that she has been seen wearing sunglasses at night and walking with her head down twice in a week. Just when we thought the story was calming down, Camron's sister rushed in with another bombshell. Yes, you read correctly. She shared a black and white picture of Chrissy and Jim with a broken caption emoji with a heart and the words "you knew better." In less than 2 hours, that post had over 80,000 likes, and the comments were a complete mess, with some people defending Chrissy and others calling for her to come clean. Chrissy had always been renowned for her tough fad, the woman who had survived the storm of love and hip-hop's destruction, and her fiery romance with Jim that seemed invincible, but she was pushing for a full-blown reunion special to broadcast. Things were far from ideal behind their home's closed walls. She had supported Jim through his legal issues for years, and his streak stayed steady, but the public never noticed the fissures, the late-night arguments, or the whispered anxieties. The woman who had previously negotiated the tumultuous world of reality TV was now embroiled in a real-life drama that was far more perilous and challenging because of her unyielding drive to find the truth, which she felt she had to battle for both Jim and herself. Unpredictable beyond her wildest expectations, Chrissy began by going over every communication, chat, and small clue she might have missed. She cautiously reached out to old pals, aware that anyone could be related to Camron's plan. The lawyers' remarks reverberated in her mind. They've been building a case, part of something much bigger. This wasn't just a case. While some were empathetic, offering whispering cautions, others were chilly, obviously distancing themselves. Personal grudge. Jim was a pawn in what appeared to be an accidental casualty of a strategic chess game that was being played with layers. The first unexpected discovery was made by a low-level aide who had working for Camron's cousin. They were afraid but felt obligated to Chrissy, so they wrote her a mysterious message anonymously. The dates matched the offshore activities, so Chrissy returned to the purported financial documentation trail. The $250,000 that Camron's uncle's shell firm had allegedly deposited into her offshore account suddenly seemed to be a carefully planned setup. What if it wasn't a reward for her snitching but a fabricated transaction intended to bring her into disrepute? When Chrissy told her lawyer about it, he saw the pattern right away and said, "This is classic entrapment," adding that they weren't merely attempting to remove Jim, attempting to disparage everyone who supports him, especially you. The orchestrated leaks from the surveillance unit. The following segment of the documentary revealed that everything was a part of a wider, well-planned slander effort. Chrissy's memory of an apparently harmless chat Jim had with a distant relative about a business opportunity that would set them up for life at the time she dismissed it as normal gave rise to a conundrum. Now, Jim bravado replayed, concentrating on the specifics. The relative had indicated new partners who were highly connected and had eyes everywhere. Could Camron's family be connected to these partners? She assigned her private investigator to Chrissy, the investigator who was covertly engaged by a reliable off-the-books friend to look into Camron's family's financial transactions and previous relationships, discovered a startling network of offshore shell companies and dubious investments, many of which came into contact with people who were known to be engaged in extremely illegal operations. Even worse, there were other cases where these individuals had legal issues just to be charged. As the court date for Jim's preliminary hearing approached, the common thread, a strong clandestine legal practice with connections to influential political figures, was inexplicably dropped or investigations abruptly stopped. Camron's cousin had worked for this firm. Approached with a fresh sense of purpose, Chrissy not only defended Jim but also revealed a larger scheme. She was ready to share her findings, not just to clear their reputations but also to demolish the complex trap that had. The world had witnessed Chrissy's tears, but they were about to witness her battle, and the sorrowful figure was now a warrior prepared to confront the storm head-on with the truth she had battled so hard to unearth. Persistent feeling that something was missing, followed by the ultimate discovery. Late one evening when Chrissy was going through her phone, a new message from an unknown number arrived. It was brief and said, "The reality is worse than you think. You've being prepared," with shaking hands. When Chrissy clicked on the link, she was shocked to see a brand new film that had never been seen before. This time, it wasn't Jim on the screen, but rather someone she hadn't anticipated. One of it was evident from a chat between Jim's closest allies and Camron that Jim was never intended to be the fall guy. Rather, this was a well-planned action that would bring down the most terrifying aspect of the entire empire. Jim's construction was Chrissy, who was playing the game in the background without realizing it as the screen went black. Chrissy's world fell apart again, but she wasn't. The night Chrissy watched that last tape, everything she believed she knew about her life, Jim, and even herself fell apart. She was at the center of a conspiracy and was recently caught in a scandal. The reality of Jim wasn't just the man she had supported for years. He was a pawn in a bigger, riskier game that had been meticulously planned by others. She could even say that it was much more evil than she had ever imagined. Chrissy believed she could trust, but in the middle of everything, she was torn between loyalty, treachery, and an intense need for the truth. The unexpectedly appearing video was terrifying. Camron, the man who had once named Jim, his brother, was seen laughing with one of Jim's best friends. The talk appeared to be informal at first, but it was immediately apparent that they were preparing to set up a. Chrissy's downfall was far more significant than she had expected, and she played the part of the understanding girlfriend in the background, ignorant to the insanity that was going on around her. Darker intentions at work. As she watched the video again, Chrissy's heart raced and her mind was racing with unanswerable questions about why she hadn't noticed the symptoms. What part did Camron play in all of this, and how long had Camron's family been plotting this betrayal? She was merely a pawn, a tool to achieve a goal in a game she was unaware she was playing. Soon after the video went viral, Chrissy's name was on everyone's lips on every social media platform and gossip website. However, the comment sections were full with accusations, judgments, and hateful conjecture, so it wasn't the support she had hoped for. Was she on it? They inquired as to how long she was aware of Jim's filthy transactions. The world had turned against her, and the one person she needed most in the midst of the upheaval was Chrissy, who could barely look at the television anymore. Since Jim was incarcerated, she had to face her war by alone. But Chrissy wasn't one to back down. She had experienced worse before, and her whole life had been scrutinized by the public. If she knew how to do anything, it was to survive. She was a woman who had made a living from reality TV drama and had battled. The first step was obvious. She needed to learn everything. In the middle of the night, Chrissy made a decision. Her private life, which she had been fighting to keep just that private, was now thrust into the public eye in the most explosive way possible. That would alter everything. So she made the decision to approach Camron directly. After all, Camron wasn't just any individual. He was a man with authority and a personal agenda. But Chrissy wasn't terrified. She had to go directly to the source if she wanted to learn the truth. The phone conversation was tight, with each word, pause, and quiet, feeling like a mine ready to blow. The voice of Chrissy faltered at, "I know what you've been doing," she added, after a lengthy pause. "I know you've been behind everything. The leaks, the videos, the lies. And I want to know why. Why are you doing this to Jim?" "You don't get it, Chrissy," Camron stated in a calm, quiet voice, when Chrissy briefly believed he was about to hang up. "It's not about Jim. It's never been about Jim. It's about you," he said. "You and your allegiance. You've been in his way the entire time, shielding him and acting as his representative. Yet you were unaware of the whole situation, weren't you?" "What do you mean that Jim's in?" Chrissy felt the blood drain from her face. Camron went on to say that he's been taking action, tugging cords with others. "You are completely unaware that you have been blinded via love. But it's too late now. There's no escaping this." Clutches of Chrissy closed the phone tightly. "So what? You believe that you will damage him and us?" "No.